Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Easter Sunday. Hope everybody's having an awesome Easter weekend. Had a couple of dinners and just good time with family, and hope you guys did the same, or whatever your tradition is, or maybe you don't do anything at Easter. But our tradition is we get together with family and we break bread. So I always look forward to this weekend. What's that? Yeah, that's right. I'm wearing my Husqvarna hat. I get asked all the time, where do you get one of those? I have no idea. You know how you get one of these? You're the Tin Man walking around at Bunyan and filming, and you're wearing a steel hat, and you happen to be in the Husqvarna area. That's how you get one of these. True story. Anyhow, friends, today's video, I gotta go get a load of water. Let's haul a load of water with our 10K 20-foot load trail trailer and the vintage 7.3 powerstroke. I want to do an update on the truck and trailer and just talk about it. I think this is helpful for some of you guys out there, guys and gals. Maybe you want a diesel truck, but you can't handle the price of a modern diesel rig. I certainly cannot. So stay tuned. Let's haul a load of water.
She cuts, eh?
And for those of you who are going to ask, I get a lot of questions about this. Why do you haul water? Well, the ground here is such that you cannot drill a well. I know that's super weird for a lot of people. This is clay soil. All the water here sits on about the first foot. There's actually a drainage map. I think I posted it on an earlier video a year ago. So we haul water out here. And the reason I'm not hooked up to town water is I am too remote. I am several miles from the main line. I'm sure one day they're going to knock on my door and say, hey, you got to hook up. We're going to do this for you. But until then, we haul water. Okay, as you guys know, last summer I bought this vintage 7.3 powerstroke. And yeah, she's got some rust issues on the front fender, cab corners, a little bit on the box, but that don't bother me much. I live in the Rust Belt. I am going to order new fenders and cab corners for this summer. So first things first, how's this truck been over the winter? It's been fine. Now, it hasn't been super cold this winter, but on a 30 below day, not plugged in, this thing starts, and I really haven't had much in the way of issues with it. Okay, let's see how this truck starts. It's a little cranky when you first fire it up, but it's fine with me. This thing runs like a Swiss watch. Once we hook up, you pretty much just stand here and wait for it to fill. There's a keypad over there, and you type in exactly how much water you want. I know this tank really well. I can tell by how much ice is in it. And so this tank is 450 gallons. So full, it's roughly 4,500 pounds of water. And then the tank weighs about 200 pounds. So that's, we'll say 4,700 pounds. And this trailer, I think this trailer is 3,300 pounds. So 47 plus 33 is 8,000 pounds. And now I also got my slip tank in the back here. This thing's full. So, you know, we'll call it another, I'll zoom you guys back here. We'll call it another, I can't remember how many gallons this is. I think this is 45 gallons. So, you know, I got 500-600 pounds worth of junk in the back, plus a few tools. So we'll say we're hauling, you know, right around 8,000 pounds or 8,500 pounds. Okay, maybe close to 9. So just so you guys have a reference, this truck is rated to pull 10,000 pounds, so not lots by today's standards. So we're almost full. Now, if I did her just right, she'll shut off somewhere about there, and the little bit extra will be pushed into the tank and we won't overfill. And again, I do this once a week, every week, rain or shine. Every Friday, usually I haul water. So I think we're a little light on our load today, but we'll see where she ends up. You guys can see it pushes the remaining water into the tank. It doesn't let it backfill. We should be close to the top. And I think she's done. We're a little shy, but that's okay. Okay, undo this. That's a good fitting. If you're looking for fittings, these banjos, I've had this fitting for years and years. This thing's been hooked up 1,000 times probably. Of course, Daisy May's joining us today. You guys asked to see her more. Here she is. She's been a lot of work to train. She's a very high energy dog, but she's a good girl, aren't you? Oh yeah. Daisy May gives this truck a 10 out of 10. She's hauled water in a couple of rigs now, and this is her favorite one. Okay, let's get this show on the road. So first thing I like about this truck is I can just let the clutch out. You really can't stall this thing. It's pretty impossible. And sorry, I got a couple of people walking here. I'll just pull out. You really can't stall this truck in first gear. And you just let the clutch out when you're pulling, and it really doesn't matter. We're just driving through a local town here, and there's several water stations around me, and I haul from all different ones, just depending on what kind of a mood I'm in, the weather. So we picked this one today. Now, this truck is 355 gear ratio. Okay, so this is the tallest gear ratio available on these trucks to my knowledge. So let's talk about that for a minute. We'll talk about this truck first, and then we'll get into the trailer. Oh, there's a lot of traffic for a Sunday out here. Not used to this. Okay, so let's get back to the gear ratios. This truck's 355. Okay, it's a very tall gear for these trucks. So, when you're pulling heavy, I gotta shift this thing at about 2,500 RPM. Okay? See, I'm pulling gears, I'm revving this thing out a bit. If I don't, because the gearing is so tall in this truck, it'll work a little bit to get up to speed. Okay, so if you're only going to pull with one of these, I would say get the 411 gears. It'd probably be a better pulling rate. But the downside of that is this truck, okay, I'm doing 60 mile an hour right now, and I'm doing 1,840 RPM. Okay, so I can tow at 70 mile an hour in this truck all day long without winding it out. Okay, so, and I can drive this truck, you know, I can do 120 kilometers an hour or 75 miles an hour in this truck, and it just purrs down the highway and gets good fuel mileage. So, depending on what you're after, pick your gearing accordingly. Okay, so here we are. I'm doing 60, 65 mile an hour, and this truck is just cruising down the highway. No issues. It'll do this all day, friends. Once you get it up to speed, it's happy. It's not very windy today. In the wind, it just pulls. And the fellow that sold me this truck, he was a cattle farmer, and that's one thing he told me. He's like, hey, she ain't fast, but she'll pull. He's like, we've been pulling with that truck for 25 years. So if you are going to buy one of these, don't expect it to be like the 6-liter, the motor that came after this. The 6-liter's got way more power. Same with the 6.4 and the 6.7. But these are a different kind of animal. They just cruise down the highway. They are slow to get there. They are very loud in the cab, but just a great truck. Now this truck is not completely stock. I have a 3-inch downpipe, a full 4-inch exhaust system from Diamond Eye, with a muffler. So I do have some work done to this truck, but I would still pretty much call this truck stock. Let's get on to the trailer. How do I feel about the trailer in this that's hooked up to this truck? Well, when I first got it towing it home, I wasn't overly impressed. It didn't feel like it towed straight. It felt heavy and cumbersome. But now, because I did the bearings and the brakes and everything, this thing tows straight as an arrow down the highway now. It doesn't feel heavy. The brakes work well. And very impressed with this trailer. Putting 5,000 pounds on a trailer with this kind of payload is nothing. Total payload on this trailer is about 7,700 pounds, somewhere around there. So it's definitely a good trailer. I love the drop leg hitch or drop leg jack. It comes up very quickly. My old trailer, I had to put blocks and all kinds of things. So you guys can see this truck is just cruising down the highway. This truck is a 1996, so it's a couple of years shy of 30 years old. I drive it all the time, and it just does its thing. Third gear, 500 RPM, and she just goes. This thing's very easy to drive. It's very relaxed, and see that? I'm pulling gears at 2,500 RPM roughly. This truck will make about 20 pounds of boost if you honk on it. I'm just barely giving it throttle. Okay, so you're looking for a diesel truck as a pulling rig, and you don't want to shell out for a new one. I can understand that. This is a work vehicle, a work toy. I use this just around the yard to haul garbage, water. This isn't my daily driver. So what do you have to choose from in this era? Well, the first is the 6.5 Chevy turbo diesel. I have a video in my playlist of this truck comparing a 96 Chevy 6.5 turbo diesel, my previous truck, to this and this truck. That's a highly contested video. I get comments all the time from angry Chevy owners saying, how dare you compare those? Well, that was Chevy's turbo diesel in 96. Were they meant for the same thing? No, but you might be looking for a diesel truck and you find you a 6.5, and just a way better pulling truck. The Chevy's a way nicer driving truck. So if you just want a diesel and you want good fuel mileage in a vintage truck, pick the 6.5. I ran that 6.5 for years. My brother still has a 98 or 99 6.5 1-ton, and that's what he hauls water with. Now the other truck like this is the legendary 12-valve Cummins in the Dodge. Now we're driving into a straight headwind, and she's working now, friends. So again, if these are not fast trucks, don't buy one of these thinking you're going to hot rod around. So when they say this truck has 215 horsepower, they meant it. Once you get there, it'll stay there all day. Now, let's get back to the Dodge. The venerable, awesome 12-valve Cummins. That's what they had in this year. I don't think the 24-valve came out until the late 90s. I could be wrong. Stock for stock, the Cummins and the Powerstroke pretty much are the same power-wise. Cummins makes a little more power down low. 7.3s, you gotta rev it a little bit more. But if you want to make power, the Cummins is the king. They're way easier to hop up, way cheaper to hop up. Longevity, I would say it's a wash between these two trucks. But I would buy a 12-valve or an early 24-valve Cummins. My problem is you can't find them here when they're not rotten. It's pretty hard to find one of those not rotten. So, and I happen to think that this truck rides a little bit better. We'll have to do a comparison one day when my buddy's out. He drives like a 96 or 98 Cummins with a 5-speed. So again, if you're looking for a reliable, just workhorse of a truck, these OBS 7.3 F250s, I mean, I love looking at this truck. I love driving this truck. And this thing will pull whatever I put behind it. And you guys can see I'm going into a straight headwind right now. And I'm making 2 pounds of boost. Got 50 pounds of fuel pressure. My EGT sensor, I'm pulling 950 degrees. So we are on flat land, but I'm pushing a straight headwind. So lastly, why would I tell you not to buy a diesel? Well, if you can't plug it in winter, don't buy a diesel. If you expect low maintenance costs, don't buy a diesel. This thing has 15 liters, 15 quarts of oil in it. An oil change on this thing costs you a small fortune. Parts cost a little bit more. So, fuel mileage, straight driving, I'm getting about 21, 22 miles per gallon in this truck with 355s. If this had the 410s or 411s, or I believe the 1-tons are 455, this truck would probably be getting about 18, 17. So, way better than a gas truck, but when you factor in the maintenance costs, this is probably more expensive to drive. So, this truck has 300,000 kilometers on it right now. So about, what is that in miles? 60. This has 180,000 miles on it, this truck. Anyhow, friends, I've been driving this truck all winter. It is started, run, idled. It makes crazy heat. It's good on fuel. This trailer's been incredible. And I'm really glad with this package. So don't be afraid to buy used. Again, this is a one-owner truck, fully maintained, super clean, and that's why I bought it. Again, it's not going to pull like your 6.7, but you can buy one of these. I'm into this truck for 1/10 of the cost of a new 6.7 Powerstroke. So you're spending north of $100,000 on a truck like that. This truck, I'm sitting in this truck for, you know, 9,500 bucks Canadian, and it'll last me another 300,000 easily. So I'll see you guys when we dump the water. Hey, we're back at the homestead. Hauling water in this kind of weather is a beauty. Hook one end up to the tank. Here's our storage tank right here. Now I overflowed this last time, so there's going to be ice just, there you go. There you go. Okay, now this is just for bathing. We don't drink this water. I mean, we can. We've had the tank cleaned last fall, but hey, this is just for consumable water in the house. And then you just turn the valve on and let her buck. Now, if it's cold out, you got to do this quickly because it'll freeze. So you got to have a reliable truck. A breakdown in the cold with a full tank is not a good thing. Okay, and this is all you do. Okay, out she comes. Do this a couple times a week, every week. Anyhow, thanks for hanging out hauling water. I'm going to do a question of the day. Give me a second. Okay, let's get the question of the day. Today's question of the day is from Sawyer Jim. Sawyer Jim has a Stihl MS 461 that his dad gave him. He said it's a high hour saw, top ends smoked on it. He wants to know, would I go with a Meteor or a Highway? And he has two questions regarding that. Number one, he said the Highway has bigger windows than the Meteor. Now, he didn't specify which windows, but I'm guessing he's talking about the windows in the piston. And number two, would I go pop-up or non-pop-up? And he wants to know, will that add compression or not? Well, first things first, window size makes no matter on that saw and the piston, if that's what you're referring to, because those feed from the front of the case. The transfers feed from the front, wrap around the exhaust port, and then into the cylinder. So those saws, piston window doesn't matter. One might be lighter than the other, but honestly, you're splitting hairs at that point. So again, doesn't matter if you go Meteor or Highway. He also wants to know about a pop-up. Well, I don't have a lot of 461 experience. I have built one on the channel, and I did run one for quite a while. 461s make a lot of compression stock is what I've found. I don't think there's any need to bump up the compression on that saw at all. So which would I go with? Probably the Highway or the Meteor. They're so similar in quality and price that either or, pick whatever one you're most comfy with and go from there, and just try it like that. Honestly, you guys see me doing all kinds of wacky things on the internet and weighing pistons and making windows bigger. If you're just doing a stock build, meaning you're not changing timing or doing port work, none of that stuff really matters. You're probably not going to notice any performance gains on a stock saw by doing that stuff. As saw builders, we do, 1% here, 2% there, 5% there, and when we're done, it adds up to be something. But if you're just building a stock saw, make sure you build it properly, replace any gasket seals, redo your carburetor, and just do it properly, and you'll have a good running saw. I think a sharp chain and a muffler mod are the two most important things for any saw. Anyhow, Sawyer Jim, happy building, and hope that answered your questions. For everybody else, thanks for watching. Take her easy. Later.